Mr. Trump continues to rant and rave and scream at the cameras. He unfortunately continues to use this courtroom as a means to raise funds for his campaign. Mr. Trump unfortunately built his empire on lies. And Mr. Trump unfortunately fails to recognize what is happening in court. And that is, we have demonstrated over and over again that he committed lies and fraud, and that his statements of financial condition, unfortunately, were inflated, and they were used to enrich himself, his family, and his company. And Mr. Trump may lie, but numbers don't lie. And the fact is that the judge has already decided that he engaged in repeated and persistent acts of fraud. And so he can call me names, he can engage in distractions, but at the end of the day, Mr. Trump, unfortunately, his entire empire was built on nothing but lies and on sinking sand. And so we will continue to return to court. We will continue to listen to the facts and the evidence. We will continue to demonstrate to the general public that Mr. Donald Trump is not worth as much as he has indicated, and that his statements of financial worth were used for nothing more than to benefit himself and his circle of friends and his family. And so I'm confident that we will be successful at the end of the day, and we will see this through no matter how long it takes. And I'm sure that he will be back again, and he will again attempt to distract each and every one of you, attempt to raise his voice and scream. But at the end of the day, justice will be served, and I'm confident that victory will be mine. There is no jury, and there is questions as to whether or not his attorneys failed to ask for a jury. And so that's a question that you're going to have to ask his attorneys. We designated that we did not want a jury, but unfortunately his attorneys failed to answer that question. But there are also there are some attorneys who believe that because this is a case of equity, that he is not entitled to a jury. But I am confident in the wisdom and in the judgment of this judge, and I am confident that he will do the right thing. And he has already decided that Mr. Trump and his organization and his family has engaged in persistent and repeated acts of business fraud.
Good job.
Mr. President, are you going to talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu at any point? Are you going to reach out to him?
See what's happening. It's a terrible thing that happened with this. Should have never happened, and it would have never happened.
Mr. President, any comment on Jordan losing the first ballot?
What would you do about it?
publicly filed. It is exactly the waiver that he has referred to in the Statement of Financial Conditions, and I want you to understand how clear it is. It states such valuation methods include, but are not limited to, the use of appraisals, capitalization of anticipated earnings, recent sales and offers, estimates of current values as determined by Mr. Trump in conjunction with his associates and, in some instances, outside professionals. Considerable judgment is necessary to interpret market data and develop the related estimates of current value. Accordingly, the estimates presented herein are not necessarily indicative of the amounts that could be realized upon the disposition of the assets or payment of the related liabilities. The use of different market assumptions and/or estimation methodologies may have a material effect on the estimated current value amounts. Let me explain to you what that is. That is on the Weiser-Lazar Statement of Financial Condition in the front that is always provided to everyone. We have heard numerous witnesses come in and out of this court wasting taxpayer dollars, wasting numerous taxpayer dollars in a city that has fallen apart because they don't want to believe that any business in New York can conduct themselves without the Attorney General sticking her nose in your business with a statute that has never been used against an individual. This is a scary precedent legally for any business in New York. What is happening now is they are saying that the Attorney General is no longer going to use 6312 against consumers. She's going to come after you and your personal business, and then she will bring your children involved because of political motivation. And that is all that is here. I'll take some questions. Anybody?
Is Donald Trump going to his deposition this afternoon?
Of course. He always cooperates. He will cooperate. He's going to be at that ridiculous hearing. I'm not going to give you details of my job.
Coming back here today or no?
He's here. He's here. Yeah.
Alina, we just heard the appraiser say that he was surprised that his advice ended up on these statements of financial conditions. What does the former president say to that?
Well, the former president is going to say anything about it, and we're going to cross-examine him, and I think that will say it all. I think you guys need to understand something. Banks hire appraisers. Everybody here knows that. Anybody here that's purchased a home or purchased anything in real estate understands a very basic thing. Let me put this whole case in plain English for you, okay? You are an individual. You go to get something appraised. You say, my house is worth X. The bank doesn't take your word for it. They hire people like that gentleman to go do their own values. Now, those values are going to be lower than the ones that the homeowner or the commercial real estate owner would use. It's very basic. Anybody watching any business television can understand or explain to you these basic principles of real estate. But the point is that's not what this is about. That is not what this case is about. It has nothing to do with this because the Statement of Financial Condition was actually low. The Statement of Financial Condition didn't include President Trump's brand. The Statement of Financial Condition does not include the big picture. If you take Trump Tower, you take the Trump name off of that building, and you put Letitia James's name on that building, it will not be worth what it is worth when Donald Trump owns it.
Do you have a sense of when the former president will be testifying in this trial?
When they call him, he will come up and testify. Thank you.